Football is a game of opinions, but sometimes there's some opinions which are so wrong, it makes you want to cry. In today's video, we're going to be going into the worst football opinions and the most unpopular football opinions that I've seen online. I put out a tweet the other day asking people to give me their football opinions, and this is what I received. I sincerely apologize for your blood pressure. I'm guaranteeing that it will be going through the roof here. If you guys do enjoy, smash that like button, also subscribe if you're new, and tell me down below in the comments. Here we go. Tell me your unpopular football opinion, okay? I want the entire comments down below to be completely spammed. And actually believe it. Don't just make things up, okay? Actually believe the things you're saying. Own the words that you're saying. Yo, do you play FIFA 22? Yeah. Is your team bang average? You absolute pathetic piece of... You're saying that to the viewers? No, obviously. Ah, okay. I mean you. Do you face teams like this?
You can't keep getting away with it!
Do you know there's a way to get coins? Why are you shouting at me? Then go to UNPOPULAR.com for the cheapest and most reliable place to buy your coins on FIFA 22. Link is down below in the description, and also use code Vizeh at checkout to get a discount. The tweet in question is this tweet right here, which I put on yesterday, and it's got 2,000 likes and 1.4 thousand quote tweets, and I think also like a couple of hundred comments as well. There's a lot to go through here, so... let's go. Bernardo Silva is better than Thiago. This has got 2.4 thousand likes. I don't really know how it's got so many likes. I didn't think people really cared that much about Thiago and Bernardo Silva. I think they're different players, like how they play in the pitch. I think they are just different, so I think it's unfair to really compare those two. 2021 Bruno Fernandes is better than any version of Zidane. Zidane? Mate, you're 13 years of age. You've never even seen Zidane play. I mean, I'm 23, so I'm not exactly like... you know, too old either, but like, fucking put some respect on Zidane's name, man. Tyrone Mings gets into any defense in the Prem other than City, Liverpool, or Newcastle. That is a complete fuck. Ryan Giggs is the most overrated player ever. I do think the fact that he's like played so many games, that is so heavily weighted on him. But again, he did stay consistent to play in that Man U team that has won the league for many, many years. But so did Gary Neville. And even Gary Neville also admitted many times he got carried across his entire career. Salah won't ever reach Hazard's level. Hazard in his prime was comparable to Neymar. I swear Salah has got more goals and assists in like 2 seasons than what Hazard has in his entire Premier League history. Salah, goals-wise, of course, is miles off ahead. I think assists-wise, I think Hazard maybe a bit more. To say that he's not on the same level is... just ridiculous. I mean, you may say in terms of like football ability, you may say that Hazard is much more of like a gifted dribbler. You can maybe say that, but that's just waffle. Erling Haaland is overrated. There's nothing special about him. Nothing special. My guy thinks that Adonis scoring 40 goals in a single season at the age of 19 in the Bundesliga and Champions League is just normal. Yeah, lad, completely normal. Jorginho without pens is John Joe Shelby. You know what? You know what? Class that. Of course, I'm not saying that John Joe Shelby is as good as Jorginho. But I am saying that Jorginho is not as good as what people think he is. I remember Chelsea fans not even liking him. Like, I think some people, they purposely, like, online, they, like, say, oh, I really like Jorginho, to try to, like, look cool and be, like, a football hipster. Like, hey, I must have a better football opinion than you because you don't like this guy, but I do. And he's a bit more off the curve because I just know so much more about football than you. Alex Ferguson is the most overrated manager in history. He was tactically naive and wouldn't have had half as... He was tactically naive and wouldn't have had half as much success as he did if he were competing against Jose, Pep, or Conte in the same league. He's also responsible for the downfall of Man United. But he did compete against Jose. Sir Alex made people like Henderson look good. English players aren't overrated, they're overhated. It depends who you ask. I think it depends who you're asking this one, really. But it also depends who it is. Like, for example, let's use like Musiala and Bellingham in the Bundesliga. You hear so much more about Bellingham because he's English, and Musiala, who could play for England. He did play for England in under-21s, but he actually now plays for Germany. You never even mention his name, and he gets a start of a Bayern Munich man, but you always hear about Bellingham. That's an example of an English player to another player who's the same age, also doing bits, but you just don't hear them because they're not English. If KDB was not playing for City, he would have won the Ballon d'Or by now. I think he's trying to insinuate that because he plays for City, therefore people be against him. But I don't think that's the case because he plays really well for City. If KDB went to, let's say, Real Madrid and he won a Champions League or 2 over there, then you may have a shout. If you look at his record in Europe, Emery might be the greatest knockout competition manager in history. If you talk about how many times he's done well in Europe and against the odds in a lot of those occasions, then you could have a decent case. He always goes far almost every time without fail. Thomas Muller has a bigger football legacy than Neymar. As of right now, yeah, because Muller's won the World Cup, won the Champions League, 10 Bundesliga titles with Germany. I think also finals of like Euros as well. If Neymar did not go to PSG, that PSG move, man, it's just like, yeah, it's great money, you know, but if he just stayed at Barca, it's such a waste of potential, man. It's so sad. And that's why I want Mbappe to leave PSG, because once he leaves PSG, then I guarantee, like, if he goes to Real Madrid or Barca or wherever, he will be a true superstar then. Burnley staying up this season is a million times more impressive than Newcastle. To an extent, I agree. With Newcastle, because their money they spent, them staying up shouldn't really be anything of a surprise. The one thing that is a bit of a surprise is how well they've done. Like, if they only just stayed up, then you may say, and just point at them, you could just point at the money and be like, yeah, that's the reason why. But because they're now 9th, and by how well they've done, and the fact that Joelinton has turned into an insane player who was already there, and most of their players have got better all around them. Some of their signings haven't even played, or not even played well. Like, Trippier's been injured for like months. Us staying up is more impressive than Newcastle staying up, yes, but Newcastle have been more impressive by the fact they've actually come to 9th. Teams should get 0 points for 0-0 draws. Imagine a world that this could actually be the case. But it's an interesting concept. If you're so bad that you can't even score a goal, then that could be at 0 points. You can't support 2 teams. I couldn't support 2 teams. I couldn't do that. There's a difference between having, like, supporting a team and, like, having, like, a soft spot for a team. Or, like, just liking the team. Born in Burnley, raised near Burnley, and it will always be as simple as that. But I have a soft spot for Newcastle because I lived in Newcastle. And some people, they have like a situation where, like, let's say they're raised in, like, I don't know, Hull, but like their dad's a Man U fan, so they like go to Hull games, but their dad makes them support United. It happens quite often from what I see on online. Of course, you guys do whatever you want to do. It's not really my business. I don't really care that much, but like it's your life, not mine. I couldn't. The Invincibles aren't top 5 teams in Premier history. Not even top 5? Nah, man. I mean, I don't think Invincibles are the best team, but like to say not even top 5, I think that's going too far. Jordan Henderson is more accomplished and completed player than Steven Gerrard. Is this guy a Liverpool fan? How the fuck are you claiming to be a Liverpool fan and saying this? This is the problem with online Twitter now a lot. People have more like allegiances to players. So like this guy's called Toto Hendo, so he's like a Henderson fan account. People have more of a commitment to the player more than the actual football club. Ollie would have United comfortably in the top 4 right now. I can see where he's coming from to an extent. I think he's been kind of cooked here by some Man U fans, but I can get the idea, the fact that the current like squad chemistry, cohesion, the kind of all-round like feeling the club right now is quite poor. And with Ollie, just say that tactically he wasn't the best. I can see why he thinks this. I don't think the word comfortably should be used. Like, there's a chance that they could be in top 4 with Ollie. There's a chance because of the reason that, you know, it'd be a better vibe of the club. I still don't think so, but I can kind of understand where he's coming from. Chelsea will immediately become a serious club once it discards Mason Mount. I mean, your account is called Bad Chelsea Takes, so I'm pretty sure this is a troll. There's more chance of seeing another Ronaldo then there is more chance of seeing another Zlatan Ibrahimovic. To an extent, I can see where he's coming from. Like, Zlatan, his body type is just kind of like profile ID, you know, with what he can do, the way that he can do it, his personality, everything. Zlatan is absolutely unique, and I don't think we will see him ever again. So Trent AlexanderArnold is a system player, and he's not generated. I mean, what does system player even mean? What does that even mean in the grand scheme of things? I don't really understand the term, because isn't every single player that's good a system player? I hear this for like Messi. Like Messi at Barca, he's a system player. You know, Messi outside of Barca, he does poor. I think the one thing that you may say with Trent is the fact that for the England team, he's not an absolute shoo-in because we don't play in the exact same way as Liverpool. So that is like one case they may have that can go against it. Van Dijk will be shown up worse than Maguire if he had De Gea instead of Alisson as a keeper behind him. What the What? Van Dijk would be shown up worse than Maguire because of De Gea. Are they saying because Alisson makes more one-on-ones? But Liverpool plays a high line, therefore they are more prone to getting the ball in behind because they are literally like in the other half the entire game. I don't get how you can be connected to a club as a fan/supporter if you don't go to games or come from the local area. I mean, I've said this like always, like if you are a fan that's like outside of England, support whoever you want from England. Like I couldn't care less really, as long as you don't change to switch teams every season or whatever, then fine, feel free. If you are from Ireland, want to be a Man U fan or Liverpool fan, feel free. If you're from India, be a Man U fan or Chelsea fan or Arsenal fan, fine by me, as long as you don't change and switch teams every second. I could not care less. David Silva is the most underrated player of all time. You know what? Yeah, I actually don't hear enough names about David Silva, but the guy was an absolute baller. But bullers today are not as good technically as they were in the 80s and 90s. No excuses for a bad touch when most pitches, even in League 2, are carpet. Mud bath, bobbles, heavy footballs, barely any grass on the pitch, and players could pass and dribble, no problem back then. I mean, this is the case for like the Maradona, Pele, arguments. How can you compare Messi and Maradona because of like the eras that they were in? I would say that the general all-round quality back in the 90s and like was like lower for like the lower teams at a top range. You can put a good debate that it was in theory maybe better because of the fact that they didn't have as much science back then. Fitness and health wasn't as well known, much more likely to get injuries. Even the game itself was probably much more physical and much more aggressive. Nowadays it's a lot more kind of like, a bit more tamer, a bit more softer. I can understand why people may have that opinion. I would much rather see my country win the World Cup than my club win the league. It depends who you ask. I think it does depend who you ask. If you're like a fan from, let's say, in the lower divisions, like Plymouth Argyle, for example, I think most will probably say country win the league, because I think that happens a lot, that if you are a fan of a team that doesn't win much, you probably have much more connection to the English team because you may have more success with them than you would with your normal team. But again, you may say, like if you're a smaller club, let's say for me, like Burnley, like if you say Burnley will win the Premier League or England win World Cup, I would probably say, it's tough, but I probably would say Burnley's win Premier League. Because again, it's that feeling of pride of your area. Like if Burnley wins, it's Burnley. It's the people of Burnley that wins the Premier League, that pride in the area. Burnley as a town will be changed forever. The club will be changed forever. And I think that is much more important to me than England winning the World Cup. Neymar has had a better career than Thierry Henry. In literally what way would that make any sense? Luis Suarez is the greatest striker of all time. Of all time? Of all time. You know what? I've heard this case, and you actually have they have a case. Because he's got the third most assists in football history. As a striker with the third most assists, that's quite impressive. And I think he's in top 10 as well. Or like maybe 13 for the most goals ever as well. As a pure number 9, because like Ronaldo isn't really a 9 and Messi is not a 9 either. He's against like R9 Ronaldo. But R9 doesn't have the longevity. He has like the prime. As a prime footballer, he's probably like the best striker, like build of all time. But in terms of longevity, Luis Suarez has a good case. And the stats also backs it too. Messi underachieved in his career. How? How did he underachieve? That's been the video. Tell me your unpopular prediction down below in the comments. There's been quite a few ones here. Quite a few interesting ones. I will see you guys next time. Hope you guys stay safe. And yeah, boys. See ya.